Confidence can be faked for a moment. Congruence cannot. I believe you must believe in what you are doing and what you're selling.
Marketing is the megaphone, getting people to be in front of the door or your doors, whatever, how many you have. So the more you can get the people to see and be ready to learn about what's on the other side of the door, that's important.
I remember in Vegas at the MGM, and there was this guy on stage, and he's like, if the opportunity is right, you should be able to sell it. Who cares what you're selling? It shouldn't matter. I could sell ice cubes or something. I actually don't believe that at all, because especially for women, we're emotional, and you do need to believe what you're selling.
If you're sending out to a new lead or prospect, I always like to just send a little message beforehand that says, hey, John, so awesome that we just got to connect, or whatever the relation is. I'm going to send you a quick audio. I'm going to send you a quick message. Or I had this idea and I wanted to just put it in an audio. Create curiosity with this. That's the thing about it, is that no one listens to your audio message, even if it's a minute and a half, is because there's no curiosity. They don't have time. What's in it for them?
When I first got into entrepreneurship, one of the first things that freaked me out, and I mean freaked me out, was sales. How do I sell? How do I close someone? I remember I was in love with the concept of what I was selling. I was in love with the products that I was selling. But when it came to the close, when it came to asking for the sale, legit, I'm not kidding, I wanted to pee my pants. I was so afraid. And I remember I'd go through the whole process of pitching someone on a vision, on the concept. And at the very end of the first part of a lot of the meetings I did, I wouldn't properly close them. I would leave it open-ended. I wouldn't say, so do you have enough information to get started? Is there any reason why you wouldn't get started today? I freaked out and I lost a lot of sales along the way. And then I realized I have got to get comfortable with selling. And I bet that you're listening to this right now and you're like, man, there is a little side of me that needs to get better at selling. Or maybe you're somebody listening to this right now and you're like, I feel great at selling, but there's always room to learn more. So I brought in today my husband, Jake Havron, who is really good at selling. He's really good at selling, honestly, all things.
I sold you to get married with me.
I
so I
know.
think we could have some credibility right
You're
there.
a great salesman. And from selling, a smaller product, right, to a massive service, like you are so good at selling. Jake, why do you think so many people are nervous about selling?
Well, did you feel nervous pulling me into this episode? Because you could have had any other guest. But you came up to me and you said, Jake, I have an idea. And you shared about this idea doing this podcast, didn't you?
I did, because I work with thousands of women in all different services and products. And specifically, I was on a training call with an intimate group of women that are out there doing content. They're getting some people on calls and things like that, but they're just not closing people. And I'm like, Jake, we need help. We need to help the people, because no matter what, if you don't learn this skill, you are not going to see the profits, and you're not going to make the impact either that you want to make.
Yeah. And it's good. And it's because you know that the benefit of what we're going to be doing here. And for you listening right now, this is going to be a masterclass, but Emily had this conviction of this product, AKA this interview, this conversation, to come and sell me on this. Now, you might be like, all right, well, they're husband and wife, it's obviously awesome to talk on this. Yeah, but there's still, everything we do is sales. Everything we do is getting people to make a decision and to find solutions to problems, right? And you did that on a small scale. Like, I have to sell Hugo sometimes to eat food that he doesn't want to eat. And because I know it's good for him.
Wants to eat.
But we finally found food that he is now excited to eat, and we know it's good for them. And that's a win-win. You have a great product and a great selling system. And why this is so important, and you probably could relate with this in some way, is that I remember in my early phases, right? Mind you, I got my nursing degree. I never knew anything about business. I had one economics class in the nursing degree and I got like a C minus. Like I had no idea about personal development, no idea about sales. I was just a basketball player and doing nursing because I just thought, why not? And when I got into my journey of going into leaving that and becoming an entrepreneur, which I had no clue what that meant, was passionate. I went into personal training. And really quick, you have to learn how to sell yourself because you're an independent contractor. I was like, what? I'm not a person that builds stuff on a house. Like I had no clue what an independent contractor meant. But right away, I had to sell my services.
Huh.
And so every day I'm listening to things just like this. And what I realized is that I knew what I could do works. I believed in it. I loved fitness. I was passionate about it. I walked the walk. But if I couldn't sell it,
Mm.
I would be broke and I wouldn't have people being fit and healthy and no one would be happy.
So it wasn't enough just you being a billboard. You needed to actually close people. You needed to sign people up on packages to train
Oh
with
yeah.
you.
I remember, and this is so wild to think about, but you could probably relate with this. I remember I was so green and I was listening to some podcasts. Ed Mylett was one of the first.
Mm.
And I was learning just little sales strategies. And I remember I was like, I need to create a lead magnet. And I didn't know what that meant, especially in person. And so what I did is I went around the corner where it was our little personal training desk in Maui, Hawaii. That's where I moved back there and started training. And I got a whiteboard. I asked the gym, I was like, you guys got a whiteboard? You got pens? And I remember putting a whiteboard out and I wrote on there, sign up for a 30-minute free training session. And it was like 10 spots only. So it was the first 10 to fill out.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked. It was people, 80% of them, they got their 30-minute session. I made it very clear. I'm not here to upsell you or anything, but obviously I knew I wanted business and they respected that training session. Eight out of 10 of them, they didn't work with me, but 2 of the 10, one of them, a couple sessions here and there, one of them was a giant package. Now that is sales. That is marketing. They blend together. That was ingrained into me to realize that if you want to do more in this world to help more people, you have to know how to sell them because they don't know what they don't know.
Mm.
And you're obviously a provider of some sort of service. Hopefully it's a great one. And the moment you start to also see yourself more like a doctor, you're going to not be seen as a closer, but instead getting people closer to a solution,
Mm.
right? A doctor doesn't ever prescribe something until they first diagnose. And a lot of people, they just feel like they have to prescribe because they've maybe had a bad experience where you go on to some sort of site or program or, car lot, as people say, even though it's not really a thing nowadays. And they didn't really get to learn about you. They just said, hey, buy this car, buy this car. And then you feel that prescription, but you don't feel the diagnosis. So you don't feel heard.
Mm.
And so when you start to feel that way, you're like, man, I could actually create results. And where I'm going with this is fast forward going from, personal training, then the online training and thinking, how can I sell more when I'm not even there in person? And then going into business consulting. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I could help more people, but this is harder to do. It's a new dynamic. And the thing that really broke me, but actually was the foundation to why I'm so passionate about this today, is that I remember to this day, there was a deal when I was starting to do business consulting. I was working with higher level entrepreneurs. I'm still green in that space at that time. And I didn't understand the difference between influence and manipulation. All I knew is I want to make some great money. I want to help people, but the money was first, the people were second. And I remember there was a deal that it was probably, I think it was like a 10K package. It was during a tough time. And I knew I had to make this money. Like it was do or die in that sense. And if not, I would have had to scrap.
Mm.
But I knew deep down, and I would keep pushing it down, like, this isn't really going to be the best benefit for them. Like, I can act like it might be, but I know that it's kind of off. I don't know if I could fully help them. I'll do my best, but it's not like full conviction. And I remember still pushing that deal through, and I was so excited I made that money. I was so excited, and they were excited for a moment. And as the days and the weeks and then soon months went by, it was terrible. It was terrible because I couldn't fulfill what I knew from day one they needed. And so we tried making it work, all these things, and now they're unhappy. Now they're not feeling this. And in that moment, and it caused a lot of just rift of my business and also my confidence. It made me, that one decision, thinking it was going to be the best thing, actually made me more skeptical and hesitant to go in offer this to other people that actually would work. It was a great product. It just wasn't a great product for them, that person.
So you were selling and closing someone that you subconsciously or consciously kind
Oh,
of
I consciously
you
knew.
like you
I,
knew
I
it
just,
wasn't a good fit
yeah,
for them.
for them, it
Yeah.
was a great product. And what I realized from that moment is I was a manipulator there in my sales, and we've all gone through this in our lives. We've all manipulated, and
Got in our
it
way.
happens. But in sales, there's a different standard because there's a level of trust and a transaction that occurs. And I realized, I was like, man, that is actually manipulation, and I don't like it. And it was such a painful moment that I'm glad I went through that, because now, like, I've turned people down even if they're willing to pay money,
Mhm.
because I know it's not going to truly help them. And now
Mhm.
it's baked into our whole process with our companies now. But that moment years ago was where I realized that the difference between influence and manipulation is who the ultimate outcome is for. And the ultimate outcome in that moment was for me. I needed to make the money. It wasn't for them. They could have still got a little benefit here and there, and they did, but it wasn't. And that's why it was a big catastrophic moment where if the ultimate outcome was for them and they feel that, it makes sales really easy. Because
Mhm.
influence is where you point out the door, you show them, you diagnose, hey, this is the door that is best for you after what I've heard, and you walk along with them. Being complacent in your sales, being maybe this is where your women or your listeners are relate with. They're just kind of like, they love what they do, but they're not really, advantageous to their sales. They just know how to point out a door
Mm.
and say, yeah, there's a door. Oh, wait, there's a door over there. They don't give any direction. They're kind of afraid.
Right.
And then there's the ones that manipulate, where they say, there's the door, it's still closed, but I'm going to just kick you through it. And,
Mhm.
and here's the reality. And then I'll let you go with this. This is so important for people to understand. You kick them through a door, they're still on the other side. You've maybe done some things, and I'm not perfect. I've had some of these moments. You've
Mhm.
probably had some of these moments. They still get some results. They get to where they want. But the experience getting there, the mental side of like, man, I was kind of like coerced into this, that rings with them. And that's not how you build real, like, raving fans.
Mm.
Instead, they want a
Yes.
door open for them, and you walk along with them and you show them, and maybe you give a little push here and there, but you've earned that trust.
What would be some, I guess, examples or red flags for someone who is selling right now, but they're being more transactional? I think
Mm.
we've all heard it before, that we've experienced it if we've been sold to, where it feels transactional.
Mm-hmm.
It feels I imagine myself in a car lot every time this comes up, because a lot of times if the guy isn't good, now if you go up and get in luxury, they're usually a little bit
A little bit
better.
better, but
They
it's not always
freaking better
perfect.
be.
Yeah.
And now, because I'm a saleswoman, I know exactly what's happening. I'm like, bro, I'm clocking you. I can calculate everything. But what would you say to someone who maybe they need to examine, are they being
Mm.
transactional? Because again, there has been, or we felt that, right? Like this feels very transactional.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is to, like you described with those examples that you've seen, is try to do the opposite in your sales. Now, that doesn't mean you be passive and you don't ask for a close, because then now you're not a salesperson. You're just a life coach on a call, and you're wasting time. And
Hmm.
I've done that, and I know you've done that.
Oh,
And
yeah, I've
that's,
so done that.
you're not on there to be a life coach with them. You could
Yeah,
give some insights and tips, but you're
right.
there to be a doctor, provide diagnosis, give them a solution. That's what
Yeah.
people are going on there for. And I know people are wrestling with, like, oh, well, that's, I could connect with so much more with them. Well, imagine if how much more you could connect with them if they actually purchased your product or yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So try to do the opposite. When you're transactional, there's an internal and external thing you can start to feel out. And you're only listening to this because you actually want to learn these things. People that are transactional and they don't want to change, they won't listen to this, or they won't change. So, like, you can't force them in that way. And that's the sad thing, is that there will be those people. But if you're kind of having that audit, like how I did, and realize that I don't want to be like that, then first you look internally. You look at, how do I feel after these calls? Did I feel like this person really needed it? Am I truly helping them for their best outcome? It's like that litmus test you have to ask, like, who is this ultimate outcome for? And just do it every single call you have it. Like, did I come off as the hero or did they come off as the hero? Am I truly helping them or is this to help me to then help them? And that will help already give you a heart check of like, man, maybe there needs to be something to change.
Mm.
And then you say, well, okay, well, how do I change this? Because let's be real, there's so many different types of sales processes and different ways. And you might be an online coach, you might have a program, you might have a webinar, you might have one-on-one and meetups. Then you start to think of the strategies, the external. And the external is, we could go into many different categories and you could keep asking in this, is once you see that there's something to change, the external is like, okay, if I was in the shoes of my client right now, this is when we do Fortivine right now in our sales process now. I mean, the women that we talk to, even if they don't work with us, they're blown away.
Yeah.
Because part of our actual sales process in the very beginning when we have a discovery call is I let them know up front, like, hey, this is the call is to see if it would even make sense to help you, because we're not here to try to sell you something if it doesn't help. And they at first say like, okay, cool, and then, if I move them forward because it makes sense, then they still ring with that. But the ones where I actually say, hey, like right now in your situation, I think if we give you this masterclass, you won't have to pay for it. Here's for free. Here's this resource. I think this will help you. And maybe in a couple months, this service will specifically help you. I mean, you can't even believe them. They're like, they're raving fans, and we didn't sell them anything because that's not part of our process. So the thing that you have to think about is just if you were in your prospects process and they were looking at you or going through this whole funnel, do they feel like this is tacky? Do they feel like you're going to try to hard close them? Do they feel like you're going to say some, limited time offer thing, but it's always limited time? Like those little things start to stack up, and that's where you have to do that audit and go through that. And we could go through each piece by piece, but that is the difference of, and if you're in network marketing and you're on opportunity calls, like the way that you present and the way that you share, are you sharing this with an authenticity and passion and giving a clear next step? Or are you being kind of weird and almost like close offish and transactional, where it's like, if you were sitting in that webinar listening or that opportunity call, you'd be like, gosh, this kind of feels weird.
I think it's a difference between presenting and saying like, I see you versus I need something from you. These are dramatically different ways to present, whether you're presenting on a Zoom, one-on-one, you're at coffee presenting, you're giving a presentation. You don't ever want people to feel, I need something from you. Like needy. Nobody wants a needy man, okay? They don't. Especially when you're in the dating phase. You want to be with, somebody that's like, they got stuff going on. They're not a stage 5 clinger, right?
Well, your offer, just to add to this real quick, your offer is the door. You have an opportunity. Your service is a bridge. The door leads to the bridge. You get them over from, the broken land to the promised land. You have to lead them through. That's going to take some time. But what comes before the door? This is what you're describing that everyone misses. Before every door, there has to be a mirror. You have to see them. You have to reflect who they are and what you see and make them feel heard. And that's like a deep desire of the human psychology.
It is.
To feel seen, heard, and loved.
And you have to, wow, this is so powerful. You have to really think about like, what is my client or potential client? What are they actually going through?
Yes.
And I gave a presentation a few months back, and someone never saw me live, and it was for our community marketing venture. And the woman after was like, whoa, that was so good. I never heard you talk about your genesis and what this did for you, this model did for you, this business model in terms of learning like sales, learning how to be confident, like just my genesis of starting in the industry I did. And I told her, I was like, well, I'm speaking for the person in the room. That's what I told her. I was like, it's not going to do any good if I come up there, I miss 9-figure this sale. Who am I serving by doing that? I'm like, no, I'm storytelling. And I'm also thinking about the woman in the room that feels like they don't have the skills. They don't have the community, they don't have the mentorship, they don't have the capital to start a wellness or beauty line, right? Like, it's like really always thinking about who is the person I'm meant to serve.
That's good.
And I even use the same framework or mind work, I should say, for content. Like, who is the person I meant to
Yeah,
serve?
content is the first level of sales.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
marketing, but it's baked in there as you're selling on why they should listen to you.
And I want to ask you this, there's marketing and there's
Hmm.
sales. And I believe a lot of you that listen to Called and Crowned, you're pursuing marketing more than you're pursuing sales.
Hmm.
And you're spending an hour on a reel in the morning in your content, which, yay, I'm proud of you. Let's go. Let's show up. Talk to me about the difference between marketing and sales
Hmm.
and which is more important.
Oh, well, marketing's easier nowadays, so I'd say sales is more important. But they both work together. Like marketing is the megaphone, is getting people to be in front of the door or your doors, whatever, how many you have. So the more you can get the people to see and be ready to learn about what's on the other side of the door, that's important. But sales is always opening the door, allowing them to go through and leading them across the bridge to where they want to go. So marketing can almost bring them closer and closer and closer to the door and make sales easier. This is why it's so important. And this is why Fortivine was birthed, because when you are stepping up as a crowned authority and you're marketing yourself, your brands,
Mm.
and you're showing up with conviction and you're authentic and you're doing all these things we're talking about, you're making people feel seen and heard through your message and your specific avatar and who you do. All of that is making your sales easier. And that's why all these women, all these men out there, they struggle with sales because they have to convince people when they get to the door. Let your brand do the convincing. That's why marketing, when done right, is powerful. It is not a look at me thing. It's like, come with me and let me show you how this
Mm.
works. And so marketing and sales work in tandem, but we get so hung up on sales because we usually have those negative connotations about sales. So even if you don't take anything from this, yeah, you'll have some tips on sales. If you can understand, how can I be seen more as a crown authority and show up more in the space, make better content that is not trending worthy, not copying Emily, not copying other people, but like you got to get clear on who you are, because you got to look at the mirror yourself. Marketing will make your sales easier. And I'll add one final point on this. Why Fortivine is where it's at is not just because of Emily. I know it's founded by her and she's earned the right of this. And she has poured into this and built the brand trust through her on marketing of her brands and her personal brand. But why Fortivine is where it's at and it's growing is because when I get on this discovery call, 98% of the women on there already know about us. They already seen our stuff. There's still a process they have to go through, but it makes my job as a quote unquote sales guy easier because I'm not there to sell. I don't have to convince.
Oh my gosh, straight up. Straight up. That's like seeing a testimonial page. I don't care what you do. You could do hair. I remember the first time I wanted to get low maintenance blonde hair. And, I saw Tiffany's page. I saw the credibility as her as a crowned authority with low maintenance blondes.
Hmm.
That's like a whole niche market in itself. And so when it came to, going to her, it was so easy, right? And even last night I got a lymphatic prenatal massage and I went to her Instagram page before. Obviously the other element was it was recommended by a friend, but then the
Hmm.
minute it was recommended, she was recommended by a friend, I went to her Instagram page. I saw the legitimacy of what she does.
Hmm.
I saw some of the before and afters, and even though that's not my thing right now, being pregnant, but I was like, "Oh, she's
Yeah.
legit,"
But
you
here's the
know?
catch.
And then when it went to booking with her, I didn't even have to think.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, it was easy to book with her.
Here's the catch though. You're talking about these two women, but there's also been other services that have had all that and you don't work with them anymore because their marketing was great, but their sales was, let's say, less than great, or it was an easy, you just book an appointment, but then they get kind of weird with you, like
Straight
the
up.
follow-ups, or they're trying to like upsell you and
No, I
they're
wanna give an example to this. This is really so powerful. It was around, like, the holiday time. You're so busy, you probably don't even remember, but I did a call with someone who's connected to one of the top thought leaders, authors in the world, and they were doing like a experience event for speakers, and it was like it almost felt like on the call. It it I felt like the guy wasn't listening to me, or he
Mm,
wasn't even asking me questions.
mm,
It was like a pitch fest of, we need, I don't know what it was, 20K or 30K, some obscene amount of money. And then we're gonna pitch you to stages, and you're gonna get booked more in 2026. And it felt like he was pitching and pitching. And because I understand sales so
mm-hmm.
much, I'm like, bro, do you even know what I'm doing in my life right now? Like, you don't even know that I have a branding agency. You didn't even go like study my Instagram. You didn't, it felt so not personal at all.
It's good.
And then he was great at the follow up. He kept on me to follow up, but I completely lost interest
Yeah.
because I felt the transaction.
Yes.
I'm like, you don't even know that I have called and crowned. Did you even go see one of the last stages I was on? Do you even know what I'm talking about? And again, I think depending on what service you have, right? But if you are doing like a very high ticket type thing, those little things matter.
Yes.
All he had to do, okay, maybe I should send this to him. No, I'm just kidding. But he just would have to go just peruse my account, go see like what's up in her life the last year.
Yeah.
He
That
could,
would be a good start.
yeah,
It sounds like he also needs to work on the
rapport.
rapport, the skills. It's also an infrastructure thing of how their business is set up. So he sounds like a great guy, but it's just
He is a great guy.
unfortunately, it's
He
just, and
is.
this is the thing for
Yeah.
your women, your listener, is that you're a great person. It's just either you set up your sales system to be just always screwing you over because
Mhm.
you don't know these things, or you just learn skills that are just not serving you
Mhm.
anymore, and it's not
Mhm.
serving your people. So that's a great example of that person. I didn't know about that, but I
Mhm.
know there's so many opportunities and things that come our way.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, that's the thing about this, and then I want you to start going into some specifics with me on this. You have to hear us that it starts with internal. Like if that guy had an internal conviction and he's like, man, why is this Emily woman like she was so bought in, and obviously we have the credibility. Why was she like now ghosting me? And it's like if he maybe had enough of those moments, he'd be like, what do we need to fix? Because it's obviously repelling a powerful woman like her. And that's where he'd be like, wow, I need to change XYZ. Right. And so I hope
Mhm.
you would get an internal check. But then external is you got to make changes. Like sales shouldn't feel transactional. And what I
Mhm.
love about what you're saying is like, I'm a saleswoman. Well, at the end of it, or the core of it, we all have different levels of emotional intelligence. Sales, in the way I guess you're describing it, I would assume is like you're very emotionally intelligent. Like you want to be sold when you're getting so like when you go to a car dealership, like for a G wagon,
Sell
or you're going
me.
into your little cute Alos or whatever your fancy places are.
Oh my
Um,
God.
you want to be sold,
I
but the
do.
moment you start to feel that it's transactional, you're like, and then you'll probably will go and come back another day and find a new person because you still want to be sold. But it's that emotional intelligence of like, don't just give me, because if you're going in there, wow, they obviously, if they told them that I want to purchase this, you wouldn't have a good experience if they just handed it back to
Mm.
you and say, all right, here you go. You want to experience it. You want to go through the process. You want to feel heard and seen and
Oh,
be like, oh, that bag is the right one. And they're not just saying yes, that's great just because they say it. They actually giving you compliments. That is what you truly want.
oh, I love to be sold and to feel good about it. And I don't know what it is. Is it that I've been in sales for a long time? Is it because I have emotional intelligence? What is it that stops me, like, or makes me even like hiring people?
Mhm.
Like, I already know right off the bat, you can't even sell me.
Well,
You're
this
going to
is
be
this
good
is
for
why
my.
sales and influence is literally a meta skill every person needs. When you learn leadership, communication, how to rewire your thoughts and your thinking, influence is a meta skill. This is why it's not just for your business. This is for life.
Mm,
Like what you just described. That's like I now see these things differently. It's like you've literally, you're in the matrix and you see everything differently. And when people come in and give you a resume or they try to sell you on this product, like you understand everything because of that and you filter it through.
yes. Confidence can be faked for a moment, congruence cannot.
Oof.
Congruence cannot.
Yeah, that's good.
I believe you must believe in what you are doing and what you're selling. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to drive deep. You're not going to feel good after you sell it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
About
How important congruence is with what you're selling.
Well, it's the good old saying for ours in the personal development world, the people that have been in there. Like, it's pretty tough to when you're feeling like crap and you're having low moments to look in the mirror and say, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm grateful. And you just internally feel so incongruent and you're like, my life sucks. I'm not making any money. I'm extremely in debt. Like, you're just lying to yourself. And you could fake it for a while, just like how you can in sales. But after a while, internally, there's this battle. There's an incongruence of your values and your actions, right? This is what influence is like, what is your values of who you stand for and how do you actually act on that? Because there's great people out there in the world, but they don't do anything in the world because they don't know how to act. And you're listening to this right now because you want to actually go and do something different. That is influence because you are putting action and going and telling and sharing. But then there's a lot of people that know how to act and their values are misaligned because they either suppressed it. Everyone's good to the human soul and the core, but people know how to put masks on and from their hurt and their wounds, and there's a misalignment of that.
Yeah.
So when you look at your mirror in yourself and you feel that incongruence, it's the same with sales. So instead, if you're in the mirror, you got to find what is the truth, what is the reality in this moment, but also what I believe to be true in the long run. And that's where you can start to change it. And I know I'm giving a personal development example, but it'll be specific for sales here in a second. You're starting to say, well, I choose to be happy today. I'm grateful to have breath in my lungs right now. You're finding the reality now because it just gives you enough hope to move forward, and then you compound it. And it's the same in sales. The sales is like, you have to be so congruent with not just what you sell, but who you are and how you represent it. Like, if you're trying to sell your partner's success because you're brand new in it and it feels incongruent, it's only a matter of time before people could feel that you don't really believe in that. But if you find a way to sell your own story or sell the belief that you have in that partner and you're with conviction, that is where people feel that. That's where people feel like, as you've had with it, you feel that. So that's the difference between confidence and congruence is like, you can have congruence with anything. Just make sure it's actually beneficial for the person you're bringing it to.
Yes. I was speaking, I remember in Vegas at the MGM, and there was this guy on stage and he's like, if the opportunity is right, you should be able to sell it. Who cares what you're selling? It shouldn't matter. I could sell, ice cubes or something. And I was like, bro, I'm not on that. I'm not on that with you.
Yeah.
I actually don't believe that at all. Because especially for women, we're emotional.
Yeah.
And you do need to believe what you're selling. Belief has a sound, belief has a feeling, belief has a weight to it. And you need to find a way to believe, which for some people that comes through education. Like if you're selling a wellness product, like you might be the type of brain that needs to know, you're more analytical. You need to know the science. You also need to see testimonials, right? Experiencing something for yourself. That's why we always say at For Divine, you're most powerfully positioned to serve who you once were. And you could sell it because you have belief in it.
Yeah.
The woman who did my lymphatic massage last night, she was hit with mold poisoning. She was a boss babe serial entrepreneur and had 4 kids, and she no longer could function. Her whole family, all the kids were getting sick, and she went on like this health sabbatical and learned about the lymphatic system. And now she's so deeply passionate about the lymphatic system that's why she was in my house last night talking to me about your lymphatic, right? She had such a energy. I was like, girl, you're already here. We're going to do the service. But she was just educating me. She went further with me. She took care of me. All the things,
And there was probably a fine balance where it wasn't too extreme that you're like, I don't want this. Like, she was passionate, but she wasn't pushy.
No.
And that's good to have, because you can be super passionate, but if you go too far, you become pushy and you actually scare away people as well.
And this is why, like influencer culture and selling online, your personal brand really does matter of what products are you promoting? Do you actually use that?
Mhm.
I think it's important sometimes to say like, "Oh, bought this, tried it, don't love it," you know, because you're building trust, and we're in the
Yeah.
trust economy, and that just goes such a long way. I want to switch gears for a minute when it comes to sales. I want to talk about audio messages in the DMs
Ooh.
or even texting people. We have seen 30 to 40% better closing rates from sending a simple voice message and following up with people, or, initially reaching out. Talk to me about the importance of that personalization.
Well, if you send me a 10-minute audio message, you better believe I'm not opening it. Some of you, man, I those messages. I'm grateful. I remember being so happy when iMessage finally had the 2x speed thing come in. Because if not, I'd be like
Right,
only sending it on Instagram.
right.
And but the power of audio messages, it's the power of your voice. It's the power of human connection. Remember, sales influence, everything is down to getting it back to treating humans like humans and having that connection. No matter how much digital, like we're grateful for the digital. Like your brand is the outward marketing to the world, where before you had to be only known or seen in your local town, and you had to put up your own little banners, and you had to go out and shake hands. Your brand is doing that 24/7, 365 if you let it, or it's being a delinquent and running around out there and scaring people away.
Mm,
So you have a choice on that. But everything comes back to, can I trust this human to do this human outcome that I want as this potential client of theirs? And so what I found is that now with automation and all these things that are occurring for the past 5, 7 years, not just with the AI boom, um, you lose a lot of that human touch because there's so much spam. There's so much, you get the inboxes. Even people with a couple hundred followers are getting, those DMs of those random weirdos that are just sending spam stuff. Like it's all,
yeah,
there's no human connection to that. So it's almost numb people.
right.
And so what we found in through my sales, through what we teach, through what we bring to Fortivine is that, like, get back onto the messaging. When you are, whether it's someone you just met, someone you're just reaching out to, or even just personal relationships, like bring that in there. Don't always just only send audios, because you got to have a nice rhythm. Because if you start to realize they're not responding and you're sending 5 of these at a time, maybe they don't have time
Yeah,
to listen
don't
to
do
it.
that.
Like
Don't do
there's
that.
also power to
Yeah,
precision, right? A key word that I've learned, and this could be something you guys could think about, simmer on more in your sales, is brevity.
yeah.
Brevity is power, because anyone can say a lot, but only a few can say a little. And
And
usually when you
mm,
say a lot, there's not much to be said. When there's a little to be said, there's actually a lot to unpack. So brevity plays even in those audio messages. It gets a little
mm,
expanded. So how does this work? And what does this look like? Well, what I've experienced is, anytime I'm about to send an audio, and I don't do this every time, because I know for my people that are out there, they'll be like, okay, is he going to send this when they see an audio? I like to give a primer. Pre-framing what you're about to do is so important in sales, in communication. I'm about to have a hard conversation with my wife. I'm going to try to find ways to pre-frame her. I'm going to be like, babe, like we're going to have that conversation tonight, or there's something I got to share, but it's later. Like that's pre-framing. It's warming up what's about to come. And it's a
y-
good thing too.
it is.
So if you're sending out to a new lead or prospect, I always like to just send a little message beforehand that says, hey, John, so awesome that we just got to connect, or whatever the relation is. I'm going to send you a quick audio. Or I'm going to send you a quick message. Or I had this idea and I wanted to just put it in an audio. Create curiosity with this. That's the thing about it, is that no one listens to your audio message, even if it's a minute and a half, is because there's no curiosity. They don't have time. What's in it for them, right? Remember, what's in it for them? You're always thinking about, how do they be the
Mhm.
hero? And don't be clickbaity, but I had this idea, or I just thought about our conversation last night, and this is probably the answer to it.
So would you type that sentence out
Yeah.
followed by the audio?
Yeah. So I'll type that out. So I'll
Yeah.
think through already what I'm going to say, because obviously I don't want them to send it, and if they see it right away and then the audio's not there. So I think through, but I send the message, or
Mhm.
the text, and then I say the audio. And what you should do if you're new at this, and good thing for a replay, is listen back to the audio.
Yeah.
I still do that to this day, not
I
because I'm.
sometimes do it
Oh, you
too.
do it all the time. We will both do it.
Yeah.
And it's fine. You could be happy with that, because like we do it not so much out of a lack of confidence, but of how can this be improved? Because there are those
Yeah.
moments where you listen to it, I'm like, let me just make that one more time. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't say this or anything. It's more of, I should have just came off more clear, precise. So it's
Exactly.
important. It's your
Yeah.
feedback loop.
Yeah.
But that right there is so powerful because when people hear your voice, man, there's a connection and you
Mhm.
stay precise. And it's not like another girlfriend that's talking to them and it's 4 minutes long and now they have to, take another business day to respond because of all the things you brought up. Make it clear, make it actionable. Hey, like after whatever you say, like, just let me know your thoughts on that. How does that sound? Like, you want me to send the link? Whatever that one thing is. So
Mhm.
even after they listen to all that, they just know the one step.
Mm.
It's no different than a VSL, a landing page. You have all this information, but what is the next call to action? And the call
Mhm.
to action doesn't always have to be a sale. It could be just like, just get back to me on what time works.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
that's personal. Remember, bringing it back to the human connection. This is a
Yes.
little tip. This is a little strategy. But for everyone listening, is how do we bring sales to be human to human, not icky, awkward? I'm going to hide behind this tech. People don't want that. Use
They
tech to
don't.
get the human connection out there,
They don't.
but don't hide
I
behind it.
have just seen when I do voice messages, it translates so much better. And with doing voice messages is typically what I like to call the FU, right? The follow up. And I believe in today's day and age, just because I've been in sales for really 20 years, the first thing I sold was being a massage therapist. And then I had a wellness thing that I went to people's houses and went through their cupboards. I had a website called Essence of M. I don't even know if you know this.
We're gonna bring it
And I had
back.
to sell my own packages and all the things. What I've noticed though through the 20 years of selling high ticket, low ticket, even selling myself on a stage to get booked a speaker fee, it's the follow up. It is
Yeah.
literally the follow up. If I look at even one of my current businesses, Heritage Club, I can see when I actually spend the time to follow up, I call it follow up Fridays. Dude, close way more
Mhm.
people moving along. What have you learned about following up in your history of selling? When is too much too much? When is it not enough? And how important is it to close the deal?
Well, you know what? Uh, this follow-up process, it's like the dating process. You don't just go and find your woman and get married the next day. Like there is a dating process. There is even some of the follow-ups are longer, some of it's shorter. With this woman over here, like I thought it'd be a lot of follow-ups till she drops the L bomb on me, but it was
Oh,
2 weeks later. That's
stop.
another story.
Oh
I
my
always like
God,
to bring
you're
that up.
being
She
braggadocious.
blushes over here. I love it.
Stop.
So it's the same in sales. Like the follow-up process is not a bug. It is not an issue to figure out how to fix. It is a feature of what
Mm,
sales is. Like it is baked in there, just like how you have to court and date before you marry your woman. And that doesn't mean you go off and do that with many people, but there's a process because it builds the trust and the relatability. And for following up, there's some tactics that I'll share that are once again congruent,
mhm.
ethical. I believe because I've stress tested them so well, and I know if I got them, I would be like, wow, that's actually a good follow up. Is you have to understand that it is part of the process. Some people only need one follow up because they're like, oh, I forgot. We're all busy. Like, you think you're busy? Imagine the rest of humanity. So you need to be reminding them. You need to be pushing them forward, giving them different vantage points. It's not always here. Here's the three deadly words that I 99.9% have taken out of my verbiage, but I see so many people doing it.
What?
Just following up,
Oh,
just following up, email, just following up, text, hey, Emily, just following up on that conversation.
sugar nuts. I've done that.
We all have done it. But you know how that feels? Like, you know how that feels? What does it say without you even realizing is like, they're trying to close a deal. Just following up on this. Like, let's get it going. You're
What
done.
about I'm circling back?
Circling back's a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah. Circling back's a little better. But what I like to really find is, and it all depends on context, but just you could avoid just following up. When people are being, I mean, let's be real. Even though we have Fortivine, we have a branding house, we still have to do our own follow
Oh,
ups. It is
straight
part.
up.
It is. That's why I said it's not just when you hit a certain quota or success, you're gonna have to do this. Like it's part of sales. It's a
We even
feature.
have to do it for this show when we're trying to book a guest,
Yes.
especially somebody who's ultra busy.
Yes.
you know.
And look, if it's not sales related, like for the show, and maybe it's okay to say just following up because the outcome is really for their benefit and there's no like transaction to have them pay.
Mhm.
But I would still try to avoid saying that. But in
Okay, what do we
sales,
say
100%.
in
So
in
instead, you don't. It's not about what you say. It's about what you provide, right? Or what you don't say. So let's say I sent that audio message and I'm just going to give tactical because,
Mhm.
and then you listening could decipher how it makes sense in your life. So I give an audio message on Instagram, someone I connected with, business partner, and I see, you can see if they read it or not. And if they did or didn't read it, usually about a day or two after, because I don't want to be a weirdo, um, I my follow up is, hey, making sure that this audio message actually went through, and I could do the little arrow.
So if you see you don't know,
It doesn't matter if they
they just
they
didn't
they
respond.
didn't respond, and so that's one way to just give a gentle like follow up with. And the truth is, at times I've had situations where the audio doesn't go through, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like screenshotting. I'm
Mhm.
like, it's like, oh my gosh. So it's like it's actual ethical, but it's much better than say, "Hey, just wanted to see what your thoughts are on that," or "Did you see that?"
Yeah.
So it's just
I
it's
actually practiced your method for a
Mhm.
business or a partnership for something for the nursery where the brand was not responding to me and I was being relentless. And I did that practice with them, making sure you saw my message above. And then the owner of the company was like, "Oh my gosh, our social media girl quit. No
Yeah,
one has been in the DMs." And she gave me the piece of art for the baby's room. She gave cut a deal, and then we got an affiliate partnership because I followed up.
it's great. And
Yeah.
there's tiers to this, right? So what
Yeah.
you did right there is, let's just call it B tier. You know, anything under that, what most people are doing, the just following up, it's terrible. The only change, and I'm. Do you
No, I
want a
love it.
master class? You want
Okay.
insights?
Yeah.
So instead of saying, just making sure you got to hear that audio, right? Because now what you're saying is you're asking for a yes and response from them because now it's insinuating like it's harder for them to respond. She obviously responded, but when you have almost a negative
Like I sounded a
outcome
naggy.
question.
Did I
No, no,
sound
no, no, no,
naggy?
no, no, no. This is
Oh.
why it's not bad. It's just when, and you don't always want to do this. I'm just giving insights because you don't want to overuse and manipulate these tools. The tools are all
I'm
neutral.
not I
No,
just
I'm
want
talking
okay.
to the public.
Okay, good.
Is instead when you ask the question for this specific example of um, just checking, did that message not go through, or did you not get to see that message above? I'm asking like a no based question. No, no, I see it. No, no, it's there. It's easier to say no and respond, and versus oh yeah, because you probably heard this sometimes. Yes, I see it. I haven't got to listen to it yet, but yeah, I'll get back to it. Like to
Mhm.
your response, both are great. It's just I try to find sometimes when people are a little sticky, and I learned this specific core skill from Chris Voss, FBI negotiator, never split the difference, is that, and this will be the, as I continue on the follow-ups, is that usually the second follow-up, if they don't respond, or once again I see them read, give about another day or two because I'm not trying to be weird, but I do know what I'm offering and what I'm providing is important. Then what I do, and this is I I don't see any other people doing this. I don't know. I can't remember who I learned it from, but you could take this. Is I do in asterisks. I do the little asterisk, stars. I do asterisk star, inbox bump, asterisk star.
Mhm.
And if it's a guy, sometimes I do the cool glasses face or the fist because it's like bumping it up.
Yeah.
But if it's a woman, then I'll do either like a smiley face, or if it's like
You
a
better
like
do
a
a smiley, no
yeah.
hearts.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
just kidding.
And
Good.
and I do, and that's it. And this works wonders in the emails because it's literally, think about it, in emails and text, because what is it doing? It's inboxing, it's insinuating the action of bumping it up in the inbox,
Yeah, I love
because
it.
you don't need to say more like, hey, I know you're so busy. I just want to check if you saw this thing earlier. And it's like just you're giving them more info that they have to now process and then
Mhm.
go through, where if they see the inbox bump, not only is it less info for them to process, but they also, it's a pattern interrupt. They don't see that often. And they're like, oh, that's catchy. And then it gives them a reason to
Mhm.
move forward with it. So
Mhm.
that's level two. Now, the final one, and I've done this to even Fortifying clients and or prospects that are not clients. And because I know, once again, I'm coming back to this core principle, and I hope you hear this too. I know what we do actually helps them. So this is where people get a little finicky. And I'll be honest, sometimes I get a little finicky. Do I want to ask this or say this? And if I'm in the business of influencing them, I have the right to say it because, like, if they don't take a decision, I've seen what happens when women don't take decision. I've literally seen women that say they want it, they have the financial capacity, they have whatever it is, and they push it off for some reason, and you have to follow up in a month. That's what they say. Yeah, of course, follow up, ghost. 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, they're the same. I heard all their visions. I heard what they want to do. I know what's possible for them. And because they haven't got over the edge, they're now the same, if not worse. That should hurt you if you actually are someone of wanting to help people and you care about them. Like, that affects you because it hurts to see that if you didn't bring them over, and you can't bring every single person over, but if you see people that are in pain and they're staying in pain because you haven't learned these skills of influence, that should irk you. And that's what makes me be able to say this third follow-up, which is after a while, a week's gone by, I have trust with them, authority in some sense. The third one is a no-based question. I learned this directly from Chris Voss. Shout out to him. Is, are we giving up on this? And then you could add one other thing if it depends on, are we giving up on this project? Are we giving up on this brand plan? Are we giving up on whatever it is? And it's very simple, and that's it. That's the key, though. You cannot be what's kind of like, and then I got to add these other things because of this, and because it's like, no, you just literally say that because they already ghosted you.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. Chris Voss talks about all the time of how he's closed massive deals because they're like, oh my gosh, no, I just was busy, all these things.
Yeah.
But it hits an identity check.
It totally does.
And this is where people can manipulate with this. And I'm going long on this, but it's so important. You could get manipulative on this because you now know how to manipulate people's psyches. And but when you know that this is actually to help them, and you say, are we giving up? And remember, that's the key word. Are we giving up? So it's not too personal. Are you giving up on this? No, now that's offense. Are we giving up on this project? They're going to look at that and be like, crap, I don't want him to think that, like, I actually want this. I'm just so busy, but I don't want him to think that I'm like a failure. I don't want to think that I'm not interested. Whatever is going through their head, that's up to them. But you'd be surprised how fast people respond.
Or what happens is it makes you look inward and go, no, I don't want to give up on this.
Exactly.
Humans need accountability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is and please don't do this if you have no rapport with the person. If you're in the DMs cold and they haven't responded at all.
Are we giving up?
Yeah, we haven't even started.
Yeah.
like I've seen those people do it too.
Dude.
And I'm like, that's using a tool the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that's my follow-up process on that. Once again, this is all to help you understand that selling is not manipulative. It's an influence. You can learn the skills. That's why we start off with the heart first, because if you don't have the right heart, these skills will be used in the wrong way. But like, it's major to know these things and modify it in your own way. And that's where you start to, once you know the meta skills, then you'll be like, well, this is a different situation. So how do I make it a no frame, but now it's related to this thing? And now you know how to adapt. So you're not being carbon copy following a script every single time.
For the woman who has something powerful inside of her, she has a service, a product, but can't bring herself to sell, what would you say to her?
You know, it's funny. This flashed in my eyes because there's a difference if that woman's out here versus the woman right here. Like if I'm talking to her one-on-one. And what flashed in my eyes was the same way that Jesus would talk to the one or the masses. I don't know if you know this, but Jesus is like the master of human influence. He was fully 100% human, 100% fully divine.
That's why he's the best leader to ever follow.
The best leader.
But if you're trying to learn leadership, just look at Jesus.
Like Jesus was asked 183, give or take, questions. He's only answered 3 of them with answers. He would ask questions to the question. What do we learn in sales? It's the same, right? He would ask people questions to think deeper, give them parables of stories. And so for your question, what flashed through my eyes was that what Jesus would do when he sees someone, Bartimaeus, who in the book of Mark is there blind basically since birth. Do you not think Jesus already knows what this guy wants. He's blind. He's literally, in that time, you are homeless and about to die. There's no care for you. And Bartimaeus pulls this man, has a heart and a purpose and a soul just like all of us. And he calls out to the Lord, to Jesus. And what does Jesus do?
He heals him.
There's a catch. What does he do before he heals him?
He asks a question.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jesus already knew, like this woman you're talking about, he already knows how powerful this woman is in her desires and her heart. But the question, and I'm not comparing myself in any way to Jesus, but I like to model after him, be Christ-like. The question I would ask that woman is, what do you want? Because that's the same thing he asked Bartimaeus. Do you think Jesus really did not know that? Of course he did. The whole community knew that. He wanted to see. But it gave the permission for Bartimaeus to step in his faith and declare what he wants. Not to speak it out and act like it's going to speak it and exist. It's to step into faith and proclaim to our Lord that I want to see. Help me see. And then, as you just shared, then he was healed. And for that woman, it's the same thing, is that whether you are having someone in your life, it's so important to have people to ask these questions. But if you don't have that person right now, or you just, because you don't need that person, you technically need yourself and God, you ask that question like, what do I want to do? Like, what is this? And if you go deeper, you're going to probably ask the next question of, okay, so I do want this, but what is that thing that's blocking me? Why am I getting in my way? And you're starting to ruminate and take it to God and meditate on it with him. And that question is then what's going to unlock everything, because you can learn all these skills. You've been in all these master classes. You've gone to all these masterminds. And why are you still not where you want to be? Because you haven't really asked that question like how Bartimaeus was asked. It was an answer from the heart. And so I just challenge you listening right now, if you want to do big things, if you want to make an impact, you've been following Emily for years. You've seen how she's able to step out and help the masses. You've been called to something greater in your own unique position. It's so clear. Then that question will linger so fast, and it'll flash through your head of, well, why am I still afraid of selling? Why? What is it? And then you'll probably get an answer. Ask God. And it might just be one bad experience you had as a kid. It might be one bad experience when you first started entrepreneurship. You get over that. You bring awareness, right? I'm trying to influence and sell you on getting over this right now. Like, I am not here to coerce you into believing that this is the only way. I'm here to influence is shining a spotlight, not having a hammer and trying to fix things. Influence, I'm trying to shine that spotlight on that problem so you can figure it out right now and get over that. And when you've put a light on that, any darkness, any deception, any limitations, they go away because you have awareness. And you're like, man, that's it. That's what's been holding me back. I was afraid because I didn't want to look like that person. Well, if I do everything that's different than that person, then that means that I'll probably be doing everything that I should be doing. And that means that my calling is going to be like all of it unlocks. It's just one little twig that's blocking the whole stream of a river. So that's the question, is what do you want?
What do you want? So good. I believe the whole game is keeping people human, keeping the process human. I really, really do. And when I get on Zooms with people, when they're looking to be partners, the first, depending on how much time I have, 5 to 7, sometimes 10 minutes, is simply learning about them.
Yeah.
What's your life? Do you have kids? What's your career? What's your values? I do all that before I go into the pitch, and I believe that that's a massive part of sales, is human to human, heart to heart.
And what you do is I've seen you, that's why. You don't do that to just become best girlfriends with them and all that, because then that's a waste of time, and it's a waste of time for them. what you do is you ask those questions and you've dialed that in. That's why you need to get under mentorship of women that have done this, like Emily with Heritage Club, or get around people. You take those values and you plug it into the system of what Heritage Club does. And you do that not to force it, but to show them that their values actually could be aligned. What do you want? You just told me. Look at how Heritage Club could help. And then they feel that conviction, not that transaction. So it's important that you are so good at that. You pull out those details, you hear them to the heart, and you basically say, like, look, your heart actually fits within this mold of what we have over here.
100%.
And that's powerful.
So powerful. This has been epic. I think we need to have you come back for round 2.
You know where to find me.
Of sales, because there's so many things we could touch here.
Yeah.
Is there any closing remarks?
Yeah. Good question.
One last tip.
For you listening right now, that question before that Emily asked, I want you to really ruminate on that. For that woman that has this calling, it's in there, because please hear our hearts. And I hope you could probably feel the conviction from not just Emily, but myself on this. We have seen so many women, the ones that step up and step into their crown authority, they are walking out and they are going beyond the fear. They are going beyond concerns. They're going beyond, they have no social media and they're like, I don't know how to show up. And it's like, they just do it because we give them obviously the plan, but they do it and they're still afraid, but they do it anyways. That's what courage is being fearful and still doing it and moving forward. So we see those women, and that's, let's just say, the 5 to 10%. But then we see the other 90% that get in their own way, and they see what's possible and they know it, and then they understand they could take this next step. And it doesn't mean you just have to work with us. It just means you have to step into something. We just built a business that allows for women to step into the crown authority, and we've understand what they want. But it hurts so bad because we cannot and will not kick those women through the door. But it hurts when we see them, because we obviously love to stay connected instead of follow up, and they're either the same or worse. And we don't want that for you. And so that question of what Emily just asked, and the question that I shared about what do you want, you'll be surprised if you really sit on that. I want you to sit on that, because that will unlock so much, because brevity has power, and the less you ask, the more you'll find. The tighter of that question, you'll think, well, how does this one question make all the difference? Watch what comes up when you just really ask yourself, what do you want, Sarah? What do you want, Blakely? What do you really want? Like,
exactly.
And that's going to change everything. And then you're going to see sales as influence, and influence is truly just human to human.
That's right.
And you're going to unlock some big things in your life.
Thank you for being here. Where can people find you and tag you?
In Emily's house.
Yes.
Jake Havron on Instagram. And yeah, let us know. As you know, if you want more content like this. We read all your DMs. We see Emily's DMs. Obviously she sees them. DM me if something spoke to you. Leave a review. That means so much to us. But really, like, message us on Instagram. Give us ideas of, like, can you guys talk about more about this and that?
Yes.
That's where we got this idea to do this masterclass. So we can definitely do more of this if this guest, allots it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.